Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidir. We're in the second hour of the show, and I will be touching on a very, very deeply alarming story that's unfolding out in the Mediterranean. And we'll be speaking to British journalist, author, and activist Yvonne Ridley, known globally for her outspoken support for the rights of the people of Palestine. She was in Malta with the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, this international humanitarian mission, which was preparing to sail to Gaza. This is in defiance of Israel's illegal blockade on humanitarian aid entering Gaza to bring vital aid to a population that is being deliberately starved. I also maintain that this is a human-induced humanitarian crisis of proportions that we haven't seen in recent history. This illegal blockade has been going on for some time now, and the this flotilla, the flotilla named Conscience, was preparing to make its way to Gaza. But just hours before they were due to depart, the vessel was struck by two drones while in international waters, very very close to Malta. The unprovoked and illegal attack has unfortunately damaged the ship and threatened the lives of those that are on board. All this while again, the international community remaining largely silent. Yvonne Ridley joins us now to unpack what really happened, as she's of very, very close proximity to those that are on that flotilla. And ultimately, we're going to talk about what this means for international solidarity and what comes next for the Freedom Flotilla. Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Always a pleasure having you on air.
Thank you very much for the invite. Yes, this is a huge incident, and it shows how out of control the Zionist regime is when it thinks that it can fly 2,000 miles from Israel to a boat in the Mediterranean, a passenger boat which carries no weapons and is packed with humanitarian aid for Gaza. And the Israelis think that they can fly in international airspace and bomb a civilian boat. What they did, they flew a Hercules C-130. The flight path is all recorded. Nothing can be hidden these days. And the C-130 flew down the Mediterranean from the Eastern Med to about 12 miles off Malta. And it released, we think, a couple of what are called suicide drones. That means drones that are just on a one-way mission. They're not coming back. And these drones carried something called a loitering missile. And these two missiles loitered overhead over the Conscience boat and then fired their deadly cargo and hit the hull of the boat. It was very specific targeting. They took out the generator, which knocked out all the electrics on the boat and incapacitated it, and it began to take in water. Now, bearing in mind, 35 internationals from 21 different countries were several hours away from boarding that boat. It's a miracle no one was killed. Yet this is the attitude of the Zionists. They think that they don't have to abide by international airspace, international waters. They are a law unto themselves. And it's about time America got this Zionist brat under control and made it comply with international laws. And America must take responsibility for the actions of Israel, because Israel will not take actions will not take responsibility for its own actions. This is an out of control rogue state. It's not even the size of a South African game park, and
mm,
yet it is causing chaos in the world and bringing its brand of terrorism into the heart of Europe. And if I sound angry, it's because I am. Am I taking this personally? Yes, I am. You know, there were 21 different countries represented in this international flotilla. One of our activists was Greta Thunberg,
mm.
the climate change activist, a real hero in many circles around the world, and Israel wanted to kill her. And this has got to stop. This out of control rogue state must be brought to heel. um, and that's I'm lucky to be here to actually broadcast to you now.
Mm,
So if
mm,
I'm taking it personally, we can understand why.
no, definitely. I think one thing about the Freedom Flotilla is what it symbolizes. For me, it represents peaceful resistance in the best of its form. Can you speak on the importance of this mission, especially now with Gaza under such intense siege? You mentioned in a little piece that you wrote that not a single piece of bread or bottle of water has entered Gaza in more than 2 months. Let's speak on that, this blockade and the impact that it has, and just how much the international community is not grasping, just how critical the situation is in Gaza at this given moment.
Well, I think the international community is grasping what is happening in Gaza. It's grasping it very well. And while the global south is looking on in disgust at the West is looking the other way. The West is ignoring the fact that a Holocaust is taking place in Gaza. There are children that look as though they've come out of German Nazi concentration camps. They are skin and bone, walking skeletons, images we've not seen since the gates of Auschwitz were opened back in the 1945. And now, we've had it all from the Zionists who go on and on about the Holocaust, saying, never forget, never forget. Well, it's them that have forgotten, because we are now seeing walking skeletons, bits of children who are desperate for food, babies giving their final breaths only hours after being born out of their mother's wombs, that are dying of malnutrition. This is the 21st century, and Israel is starving these children. It has lost its humanity. And I would say to the Israelis, you know what is going on. Stand up and do something about it, because your cries of never again are weasel words.
Mm, no, definitely. And, I can just, hear and sense the anger in your voice, but I think, nothing encapsulated it even better by your recent tweet. We're just going to put it up about, most importantly, the inaction of the Arab nations, and how they've been really, really silent. I would like to read this because I thought it was very, very important to highlight in your tweet. I think it was last night, if I'm not mistaken. Yvonne Ridley's tweet reads, to the Arab men in the Middle East, or you pathetic armchair jihadists, just sit back and let the men from Yemen do your job. Look how courageous and brave they are. Our wonderful Gaza flotilla women on our boats have more spine than you. Gaza's children are starving, and you sit there like big, fat, castrated dogs. Your wives must be embarrassed. It's a wonder they don't kick you out of their beds. I mean, a very, very powerful tweet, and I would like us to expand on that. The silence and inaction of all of the countries in the Middle East, and all of the Arab Muslim countries that have went mum, literally nothing, no comment, no action, just silence.
Well, the people of Yemen are the heartbeat of the Arab world. They are standing up for Palestine. They've got limited resources, but they have unlimited courage, and they are using every bone and sinew in their bodies to fight for Palestine. And I salute the people of Yemen who are standing up, trying to stop a genocide, trying to stop ethnic cleansing by this state, this rogue state, which has been emboldened by America, by Britain, by Germany. It is incredible that we are in the 21st century and we are seeing starvation being used as a weapon of war. We are seeing bombs being dropped on canvas tents where refugees are sheltering. We are seeing the most savage, beastly behavior coming from the West. Never again can they call themselves the civilized world, because there is nothing civilized about Western behavior today. And it will come back to bite us. It will come back to our reputation is in tatters. And I am deeply ashamed to be part of this colonial imperialism that is being sanctioned by the West, which is emboldening the Israelis to act in this insane, savage way. And we can't blame all Israelis. There's an exodus at the moment. More than 1 million Israelis have left the country and gone to live in Jewish communities around the world. This has not been reported, but it's happening. And only yesterday, Yemen said that Israel is no longer safe, and it advised the Israelis, stay in your bomb shelters because we're coming for you. And as I say, going back to the Arab world, where are the great people, the sons and daughters of Omar al-Mukhtar in Libya, the heroes of yesteryear? What's happening today? And I have to say, if Algeria was next door to Gaza, this savagery wouldn't be happening now, because the Algerians would have risen up just in the way they did to get rid of the French colonialists out of their country. The Algerians would have risen up and smashed down the Israelis by now. And probably so would the Turks. But they are not neighbors of Israel, of Palestine. Instead, poor Palestine has for neighbors Jordan, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Saudi. These are the neighbors. What are they doing for the Palestinians? What has happened to the Arab nation? And it used to be a nation. They were all for one and one for all, and now they've been fragmented into self-indulgent, spoiled crown princes who are competing against each other to get the latest sport into their country, to get the tallest building, all of this fluff and nonsense, these vanity projects. And of course, I'm looking at Saudi and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What a waste of space he is. And I can't believe that the Saudis are sitting there doing nothing while the Crown Prince humiliates them. He's in bed with the Israelis. That's what he is. You know, he's a Middle East rent boy for the West. And I really am so, as you can tell, so angry. Babies, children are dying on his watch, and all he can do is belly dance in front of Tel Aviv. What a disgrace he is. You know, why don't the Saudis rise up and get rid of this useless individual who brings shame on the Arab world?
No, definitely, Yvonne. I think you put it very, very powerfully. I want to come back to the Freedom Flotilla. I'm sure you've been communicating quite closely with those that are on board. You are of close proximity to a lot of them. How are they doing? How are the crew members and all of the brave, powerful humanitarians in every sense of the word on board that flotilla doing, both physically and emotionally, from what you've gathered?
Well, more news is beginning to filter out now. We know that Israel had tried to bully Malta. Not only did they violate international airspace and international waters when they bombed our passenger boat, but they then told Malta, do not let that boat get into a port in Malta. I mean, it's incredible. You know, they bomb a boat and then they say, don't rescue them, don't help them. There is no humanity. And this boat was taking in water. It almost certainly would have sunk by now. The crew, the captain from Azerbaijan and 11 Turkish crew members are still on the boat. It has been towed, I think it was towed into or near to Malta. And the thing about this boat is it is a crime scene. And it has evidence on board of Israel's breaking international laws. It is Exhibit 1 for The Hague, for the latest war crime that Israel carried out. And it doesn't want that boat to remain afloat. I'm fearful for the safety of the crew that are still on board, the Conscience. The other 6 Turkish activists who were joining us have since gone back home to a hero's welcome. And that boat is one of many in the Flotilla coalition. And this is a message to those cowardly human detritus in Tel Aviv. Our flotilla will not be sunk. Our mission is unsinkable, and we will go out to deliver humanitarian aid in Gaza. We don't need your permission, Tel Aviv. We don't want your inhumanity. We are going to do what you should be doing now, which is feeding the people of Gaza. You know, I am sick of hearing weasel words from politicians who say, oh, well, you know, Israel has a right to defend itself. No, it does not. It has no right to defend itself against the people who are resisting their occupation. Israel has no right to defend itself against the people who are resisting their occupation. But what Israel does have is a responsibility a care of duty to treat the Palestinians with humanity, to make sure that they are being fed and given access to water. That is a responsibility of Israel, and it is ignoring its responsibility right now. It is allowing babies and children to die of starvation, and that will never be forgiven, and it will never be forgotten either. And ordinary Israelis don't need to look away. They know fine well what is happening on their watch. And dare they remind us of the Holocaust. Dare they do that again when they are doing the very same thing that the Germans did to their grandparents, previous generations of Jewish people. It is beyond belief that this is happening. And then they go abroad and they wonder why people go up to them in restaurants and say, get out, we don't want your type here. They have become just international pariahs. And it's because of their support for Netanyahu, Smotrich, and all the other politicians who are pushing out these obscene actions, starvation, bombing civilians, bombing refugees, refusing clean water into Gaza. 2 million people trapped inside Gaza. And now Smotrich is talking about an ethnic cleansing plan. And they're talking to the media. And the media is sitting there and reporting, but not challenging, not questioning. You know, what has happened to my colleagues in the Western media? More than 200 journalists have paid the blood price for reporting on what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank, the occupied West Bank. And I just don't know what has happened to the whole world. It's crazy. And then we've got India has gone to war lobbing bombs on Pakistan, and it's pulled out
I
Zionist
wanted to
handbook.
touch on that, Yvonne. Sorry to jump in there, because we're quickly running out of time. I wanted to touch on that, just to digress a bit to that very, very important developing story that I think it's also deeply concerning on the international front. For those that don't know, just last night, India reportedly fired 4 missiles that were intercepted and downed by Pakistan. Yvonne, just given your background in geopolitical reporting and your work on Muslim majority countries, what do you make of this escalation between two nuclear armed neighbors, and how does it reflect broader global tensions that we seem to be sleepwalking into while the world's attention is rightly fixed on Gaza?
It's absolutely terrifying. As you point out, two nuclear powers. Kashmir is at the center of this. And of course, China, another nuclear power, is occupying a part of Kashmir as well. So we've got three nuclear powers there. India attacks Pakistan and pulls out the Zionist handbook and goes, oh, well, we were targeting terrorist camps. You know, we can all say just make it up. They've got no proof. They've provided no evidence. And of course, Pakistan is not going to sit there and take it. In fact, they have reportedly brought down 5 Indian jets so far. I've seen images of 2 that have been knocked out of the sky with surface-to-air missiles and air-to-air missiles. But these are terrifying times, and it all goes back to this rancid, poxy little country in the Middle East that isn't the size of a South African game park, that is
Kruger National
creating
Park,
all of
smaller
this
than Kruger
fitna.
National Park.
Sorry?
I'm just saying Israel, smaller than Kruger National Park. That's
Yes,
the
yes, it
game
is.
reserve that you're citing.
You know, let's get it in perspective. And yet it is causing all the Arabs have this wonderful word called fitna. And this is what Israel is doing, causing fitna around the globe, bringing unrest, bringing war, bringing hatred, bringing starvation, bringing medieval barbarity into the 21st century. It's got to stop. And its sponsors in Britain, in America, across Europe have got to rein in this rogue state before they destroy the planet.
No, definitely. I think we're going to leave on that note. Yvonne, always a pleasure chatting to you, and really, really appreciate you giving us your time and your insights. Hope to chat to you again in the not so distant future.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. That was Dr. Yvonne Ridley coming to us from Scotland. She's a very, very astute journalist, a political activist, and I think a powerful voice that's needed right now, considering the crazy times that we find ourselves in. And, to people that are in that flotilla, if they're seeing this, if they're hearing it, I think you represent what's right with the world at this very moment. You're probably in shock. These are scary times for you, also witnessing firsthand just the brute and ugliness of this Israel apartheid regime, a pariah state, an illegal state that shouldn't be existing. You going to tell the world firsthand, because there's a mission to silence the voices of the people of Palestine. While you have people from more than 21 different countries who have witnessed it firsthand, who hopefully are going to return to their countries and said, well, we survived it also. We were part and parcel of the people that have witnessed how evil this apartheid regime state that is Israel. And we will tell you the story. It's not just the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, who bore the brunt, but we also did. And I think this message should resonate and reverberate all across the world, that if Israel is not stopped, then who's next? After Palestine, after Gaza, who's next? And if we keep quiet and continue to let them, continue with the impunity and the evil that they are continuing without any kind of consequence and responsibility, well, who says next time it can't be Cape Town or Joburg or London or Berlin? Because, well, they seem to be taking people's lands and mass murdering women and children without any consequences. What makes you different? What makes you special? This is News and Views. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be with you after this.